few days ago I went to a shop, I was going to buy some clothes, and the lady told me that I cannot try them on because they are quarantined. The clothes are on quarantine. And the first thought that came to my mind was, perhaps we as human beings, and especially our brain, needs more to be quarantined than the clothes. And it could be funny, right? It looks like it's just basically too much. But if we look at our life honestly and sincerely, especially in the field where we have trauma, where we have pain and anxiety and doubts, and we search for some information to help ourselves, we're searching for help. We actually do exactly the same like with these clothes. We just don't see it in this way. And this is something I'm going to talk about this week. You see, imagine that for 365 days in a year, nothing works. We cannot fulfill anything, just basically doesn't work. Then, of course, we wouldn't be able to, as we are not able to really manifest anything, we wouldn't be interested in searching for an answer, right? Because it doesn't work, anything. But it's in a different way. We have in our life, how many days in 365 days really fulfilled from the beginning to end? How many days do we have? 5 days? 7 days? Maybe 12. We have this fulfilling 100% perfect days. How about the rest? Where is the rest? Why not the rest? Well, we may say that there is no human being that could plan, and everything that has been planned has been manifested, whatever that is. Yeah, but the question is, why not? Why we just settle for less? Why we agree to have only 5 days fulfilled or 12? Why? You see, because we know the answer. The scientists, the psychologists, psychiatrists, psychoanalytics, they gave us the answer. They told us, and we believe, and we have been convinced, that all what we need to our suffering and struggling and pain, it's 5% of our brain. The 95% we shouldn't be concerned anymore. Don't worry about it. All what you need to survive and to have and you need to know is this 5%. This is enough. So don't worry about this 95%. This 5% gives you the answers to all your questions, life problems, financial difficulties and challenges. Everything is within this 5%. And the problem and the issue is that we truly, internally, really, we believe that. We agreed to that. That is the main issue. So if we talk, for example, about the relationship and the trauma, and we know now that this is biochemistry that has been compromised by our grandmother, we take over in our DNA, right? So there is more and more that science talk about the behavior of the cells and genes, and there is epigenetic that explains so much about what is happening to us now. We have all the answers. We got all the answers right now. The scientists told us we know what is happening. But you see, why there is more divorces than this happy and fulfilled relationship? Why there is more suicides? Why more and more people suffers? Why there is more bankruptcy than in the history than ever before? Why? If we have all the answer and we are satisfied because we accepted this 5 or 7 days in a year, don't we see that this doesn't work? The problem is that if we have a life challenge, and let's say that you have life challenge, you have to pay for lease, you have to pay mortgages, you have to pay for your business, for employees, insurances, so many things. So you have this issue, for example, that's one of thousands of problems that we have. What do you do? No, but ask yourself this question and try to answer honestly. where do we go? We go to this 5%. We go only to this 5%. We go to our accountant, we go to the bank, okay, we go to some agency that can help us. We search in this 5% for the solution. And we don't want to search somewhere else. But you see, the issue is that even though we would go there and it would help us numb, desensitize only the situation for a while. And then what we do? We do it again and again and again. And right now, nobody is going to convince us. Nobody is required to convince us to separate the clothes and make the quarantine of the clothes. We do exactly the same. We use things that doesn't work. So when we are in this challenge, life challenge, why we cannot connect to this realm of 95%, to the realm where we can be fulfilled, every day can be fulfilled. Why? Because we have never ever made a connection with our soul. Never. We have never ever made a connection with 95%. This is why this realm cannot help us. Not because it doesn't want. It's because we never went there. Why not? Because again, when there is a life test, when we are suffering and we are struggling, what do? In order to connect to this 95%, we should run away. We should surrender the 5% ego brain. But how can we do that? How can we surrender? Are we going to be a slave of this something else, of this 95%? No. We should only surrender the 5% of our brain when there is pain, when there is fear, when there is lack, when there is anxiety, when there is this financial problem. Because what do then? We go to this 5%. We trust them, but they cannot help us anymore. Or they help less and less. You see, this is only the 5% we should quit and focus on 95%. We cannot. That is the issue. That is the universal spiritual law. We cannot connect to 95% of our potential unless we are connecting to a different energy. Because we choose to connect to this different energy. Our consciousness choose. We may just dream. We may just say to ourselves, yes, I want to connect to my 95% of potential. I want to connect to my soul. We may dream, we may wish. This could be our internal intention. But when there is this pain, what do? Again, this is the test. And we go back to this 5% of our brain, to this ego trip. And therefore, as the result, we cannot go to this 95%. So this is something I would like to talk this week. And it is required from us. That's the issue. We are addicted. It is required from us to voluntarily quit this 5%. And then we would be able to connect to this 95%. Otherwise, we are going to work and find out more and more things like how we can help ourselves by putting the clothes on a shelf where you cannot try them on. That the quarantine is required. And we are going to be actually, and we are dwelling right now as humanity towards that direction. But this direction is not the answer to our anxieties, to our pain, to our consciousness. Our aim is to connect to 95% and take control over all our life problems.